Hi guys, I'm live for nonsense. Sorry about that if that turns out to be exactly what this is, but I just want to talk about something. Um, anyway, I do a lot of meditating. A lot of meditating involves shock, imagining and focusing and whatever. And I do a lot of focusing on my third eye chakra and my crown chakra, which are the pituitary glands and the pineal gland, pituitary gland and pineal gland respectively. At least how I see it. Some people have that in reverse, but I think that that's right. So I did some meditating in my third eye today, and on my walk. And I like the old Kung Fu: The Legend Continues series that came out in the late 90s with Kwai Chang Caine, played by David Carradine. He had some cool ideas about this too. I used to watch his martial arts things, movies and stuff. Anyway, enough of that. Let me talk about the three. A lot of things come in threes, and I had three really cool breakthroughs, imageries in my third eye today. And I've read that sometimes what I think I might be doing is called Bates eye exercises, where you actually meditate on a thing on a deep subconscious level, and then you have a movement in one of your eyes that links it into you, and you reach the deeper truth on the subconscious level, and the eye movement kind of signifies and finalizes the breakthrough. And I had three today that I like to talk about. Just whatever. If it's not interesting, then I can always delete this. But whatever, I'll just thought I'd talk about them anyway. The first one was I realized on a subconscious level that I have learned rhythm theory. I'm really good at it. 10 years ago, I either was going to learn rhythm theory and learn how to play some songs and learn basic, the main chords in music, in rock, or I was going to quit guitar. And if I would have failed at those things, I was just going to quit. But it turns out I did succeed, and I did learn rhythm theory, and that hit me on a good, deep subconscious level today, which I think is cool. That was number one. Number two, I realized on a really deep subconscious level, and I had an eye movement with it, meditation in the third eye, that I intuitively understand Euler's theorem, which is very important in systems engineering. It's very deep. It's higher mathematics. Basically states e to the I theta equals cosine theta plus I sine theta. It's graphable on the complex plane, which is a coordinate plane of complex numbers, where the x-axis is real numbers and the y-axis is imaginary numbers, and any point on the plane is a sum of a real number and an imaginary number, which is then therefore defined as a complex number. And it turns out if you take motion around a circle, and if you take the unit circle, which means a circle of radius 1, you get, and theta is measured in radians, starting from 0 at the x-axis and going counterclockwise for positive angles, that e to the I theta equals cosine theta plus I sine theta. It transfers polar coordinates into rectangular coordinates and vice versa. Also, Euler's theorem is the basis of Fourier transforms. Sometimes some of them are Laplace transforms, but mainly Fourier transforms, which are the basis of systems engineering, which I studied for 3 years at Harvard College. At least I studied at Harvard College for 3 years. It wasn't all systems engineering, but that I did study for 3 years, and that's mainly what I focused on. Now, finally, the third little breakthrough I had today is I realized intuitively on the subconscious level, I realized that what I call the Mozart theory. It's very tricky, yet fundamental, and yet very important in understanding how to play music, especially if you want to go to the level of classical music and the masters such as Bach, Beethoven, and Mozart. If you really want to dig their things and improvise and play like them, it's important. So I'm going to go with the Mozart theory is, and then I'll be done. Anyway, the Mozart theory is basically the theory that all scales, all diatonic scales, are based on triads, that are based in groups of three around a center one, and one going up and one going down, a perfect fourth or a perfect fifth, or vice versa, either way, and the triads being either major or minor, and therefore through this method defining major scale and harmonic minor scales, and then being played in all 12 keys. You have all 12 major keys and all 12 minor keys, all starting with just basic major and minor triads. And that's the way I look at classical music and deepest music theory, and I got that today on the deepest subconscious level through the meditation with my third eye. So basically, you start with a major triad. If, let's say you're in C for major and A for minor, that's the white notes on the keyboard for the most part, and signature, time signature of no sharp and no flat, no sharps and no flats. So anyway, starting on C, if you have a major triad on C, call that 1, and a major triad on 4, that would be F, call that 4, and a major triad on G, that's in goat, that would be 5, so call it 5. Those three triads, 1, 4, and 5, C major, F major, and G major, combined make a C major scale. And then you just play that C major scale with the root on any of the 12 tones. So you can play the major scale on any of the 12 tones, which make the 12 major keys. And then you understand major keys. And then for minors, start with A minor. You just start with an A minor triad, that's 1 minor. Then a 4 minor triad, that would be D minor. And then a 5 major triad, which would be E major. And then you take those three triads and you get an A harmonic minor scale. It comes out that way. And then play that harmonic minor scale on all 12 keys, on any of the 12 notes as a root keynote, and then you have the 12 minor keys. And therefore you have the 12 major keys and the 12 minor keys, which make the 24 total keys in music. Hence the 24 caprices by Paganini and so forth. So those are my 3 breakthroughs I had today. I realized these all on the deep subconscious level. Hope you guys rock on. Love you guys. Peace. Rock and roll.